One of my favorite stories of the Bible is found in Genesis, and it is the story of Joseph. And the best study I have found that I love to study and also teach is called Detours by Tony Evans. He's not only a wonderful pastor, man of God, great Bible teacher. He's also the father of Priscilla Shire, who I also love. But this is Lessons from Joseph, the Unpredictable Path to Your Destiny. And we all been on detours. We've all been on a trip going from point A to point B, and then we see a detour sign. What's your first response when you see a detour sign? I'm sure it's not, yay, we get to go on a detour, because it's inconvenient. It takes you out of your way. And sometimes it takes you off a road you've never been on before, and you don't know. Of course, now we have Google Maps or Apple Maps or whatever you use to get us back on the right way. But way back in the day, we didn't have the click and it gives you a different route. So detours were a lot more inconvenient before Google Maps. But going back to what Tony Evans says about detours, he says, granted, detours are anything but convenient. They take you out of the way. They are longer than you originally had planned to travel, but they are necessary. God is more interested in your development than your arrival. He cares more for your character than your comfort, more for your purity than your productivity. And so he takes the story of Joseph and just opens your eyes to what all Joseph went through, how God was in every detour, but those detours were preparing Joseph for what God had in the future. So all his detours along the way, to Potiphar's house, to prison, and then eventually to second in command of Egypt, God was preparing him, equipping him to be able to fulfill that role as second in command in Egypt by the detours he went on. And the repeated words in all through Joseph's story is the Lord was with him. The Lord was with Joseph, and he's also with us through our detours. So if you're going through a hard time, a detour in your life, this is a 6-session Bible study. It has videos. He does a great job just taking you through the last chapters of Genesis with Joseph's story. But even if you're not in the middle of a detour, Tony Evans says you're either going into a detour, you're in a detour, or you're about to come out of a detour. So I highly recommend this story or this study.